Hey all, here OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the T7 True Wireless Earbuds. So these are wireless Bluetooth headphones that are inspired by the Apple AirPods to a large extent. In fact, they are the closest replicas or clones that I found out of many of these Shenzhen-based earbuds in a long time, which is part of the reason why I was interested in taking a closer look. With that being said, the price is also a little bit steep just because it does resemble the AirPods almost one-to-one, and you're paying about $70 for these, which isn't bad compared to the original Apple AirPods, but other TWS earphones I've seen sell as low as $30 to $40 depending on the manufacturer and brand, so you're getting a little bit more of an expensive premium on these. Regardless, let's take a closer look at the packaging here. So it comes in a charging case, which includes an integrated battery that can charge up some of the earbuds when on the go. It takes 1 hour to charge, and then battery life is rated at around 2 hours of continuous audio playback before it runs out. So it's still one of the downsides is that the battery compartment is relatively small, and so you have to recharge it fairly often compared to larger Bluetooth headphones that will probably last you 6 to 8 hours on a single go. So you have to charge this a lot more frequently. The case can charge the headphones 5 times before you need to charge the case itself. So again, there is that built-in battery. And the Bluetooth connection range should be around 10 feet or 33 meters. Otherwise, how they work is basically they pair to each other, the left and right stereo, wirelessly, and then one of the earbuds, the right earbud usually pairs to your phone, then using Bluetooth. So there's an extra step of wireless pairing between the earbuds, which makes the TWS technology a little bit more special. In here, though, we do have an extra little pouch, which you don't tend to see with many of these types of devices, so that's a little extra accessory, and this is a micro USB cable that you get to charge the battery case itself. Setting this off to the side and taking a look at just the design here, again, the case is just made out of a synthetic leather. There's a lanyard or a keychain hole, and it fits into the hard shell battery case like this, and closes up like this. And the battery case, for the most part, is actually really close in terms of size to the actual Apple EarPods. In fact, this is, again, one of the closest replicas that I have seen being sold on Amazon and eBay, so that is quite interesting. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper. The side here does feature a micro USB for charging, as opposed to Lightning, and the door also closes magnetically as opposed to using a mechanical switch, so it actually works really well. You don't have to force it shut. It will fall back automatically because, again, it is using magnets integrated. In here, we also have some additional kind of warranty information, safety regulation that's been printed on here, kind of in an Apple-like style. And on the top here, there's also an LED status light that will illuminate when the earbuds are being charged inside the case. So as aforementioned, the design of the actual earbuds are surprisingly similar to the Apple variants, and down to the chrome accents on the very bottom, as well as the size, which is a lot more petite than many of the other cheaper TWS earbuds, which were a bit more bulky and large. And as a result, they're slightly more comfortable in the actual wearing experience, at least from a quick hands-on testing so far, just because they weigh next to nothing. They really are so small that they disappear when you're wearing them, and even though the battery life is a little bit short, again, the ergonomics are pretty good, about the same as the actual Apple EarPods, which, in my opinion, fit pretty well despite the lack of some soft touch rubber accents. It's not quite a sport grade, so I wouldn't necessarily say that they won't fall out if you do some vigorous exercising, but if you're just walking around, they should fit in pretty well. The charging contact points at the very bottom, it uses 2 very small pogo pins, which comes into contact at the bottom of the case when you snap it into place, also magnetic. The only giveaway that these aren't Apple EarPods is if you flip them over and look very closely, there's a small button on the top, which the AirPods don't have because they are motion activated, and you simply pick them up using the accelerometers, it detects it, and it starts playing music. On these, you have to actually manually tap on these keys to pair it and to turn it on. So not quite as advanced in that area, but it does have LED lights that will flash to tell you the status. So for instance, I can long hold here to enter the pairing mode, and it's going to start flashing red, as you see there. The other one will also be flashing red after long holding it for a few seconds, and the two will then proceed to pair with each other. So let's try dropping the earbuds into the case here, and it stays in place with a satisfying click. And you can see an LED light start to pop on as well to indicate that this one is low on battery, so it's began to charge automatically. And the green LED status light also means that the battery case is charging. What's kind of clever about the light is that the hinge here also has a sliver where the green light can pass through from. So for instance, we close it up and take a look at the other side, you can actually see this almost like a LED light strip that will tell you if it's charging, it's green, and if it's fully charged, it will turn red. So this is also a nice little touch and shows a bit of attention to detail. As a quick size comparison, here are some other popular low-cost Shenzhen-based TWS earbuds. And the first one that I have here are the QCY Q29 earbuds, which were kind of the oldest TWS earbuds that hit the market at a really low cost, and they are definitely a bit bulkier as well as heavier. Battery life is about the same at roughly 2 hours of continuous playback before you need to recharge them again, so also not quite as long as larger Bluetooth earbuds, unfortunately. But you can tell that in terms of size, these are definitely smaller in terms of the drivers, as well as more lightweight for sure. These are a lot more hefty and solid. This feels a lot more light and hollow. And here I have the Peak wireless earbuds, also a little bit cheaper, and also have this shape which is more similar to the syllables than with these, which have this wing on the outside, and also a little bit heavier as well as larger in terms of overall footprint and dimensions. Alright, so moving into audio quality and performance. Thankfully, the T7's actually exceeded my expectations when it comes to sound. Just because the design is so inspired by Apple, I thought that it would mostly be better in terms of its looks than its performance. But there's actually a good amount of detail to the sound that you're listening to. It's not very bass heavy, which is expected since the drivers are pretty small and these are earbuds at the end of the day. But as a whole, mids and highs actually sound fairly clean. Now, there is a little bit of static if you listen very closely and you turn up the volume or play and pause the music very quickly. You'll hear a little bit of a hiss in the background, which is very common with TWS and Bluetooth headphones in general. But overall, as long as you're listening to just casual music, you should still be fairly impressed with the overall sound, just because again they are pretty detailed and mids and highs are clean sounding. I was also impressed that these didn't really have any latency problems in my quick testing with them. So what I mean by that is oftentimes with TWS, since the earbuds have to be communicating wirelessly and then have to communicate with your phone wirelessly, they can get out of sync with a video. So if you're watching an action film, the video footage with the sound being mismatched can be a little bit of a downer. But luckily on these, they seem to be synced pretty well to the video footage of several YouTube clips that I tested out with, some with action sequences. So it seems to be an improvement in terms of the chipset that they're using, as well as the technology here has gotten definitely better in that regard. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the T7 TWS earbuds are concerned. Are these the best sounding headphones in the world? Absolutely not. But surprisingly, audio quality is clean, and despite the fact that it looks a lot like the Apple AirPods, it's actually reasonably comfortable, well crafted, as well as having a nice assortment of accessories, including the charging case, which works really well magnetically, along with the included soft carrying pouch that you get. That's a bonuses that you don't tend to see with other cheaper TWS earbuds. Performance is also about the same compared to the aforementioned Peak and QCY and Syllable TWS earbuds that we've tested in the past when it comes to overall sound quality, although these actually had a little bit better in terms of the audio latency being more evenly matched with the video and the sound. Also, I found that the battery life at around 2 hours, although still not quite as good, the fact that the battery case can squeeze in 5 charges, which is about accurate, is also a little stronger than the competitors, which can only get around 4, sometimes 3 charges at once. So the battery capacity in here is slightly larger as well. You can check out more details in the links down below, but for now this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.